Alright guys, hello the internet, hello the world, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages. This is episode 1 of Disc Heads. The journey begins today. It is a disc golf podcast. I am a co-host on this podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Lee. Fortunately, Ben cannot join us tonight, who's another co-host, but this is your baby, Dan, and Dan is going to be the main host of this podcast, but he's not done a podcast before, so I'm excited to see where this takes us, mate. So, yeah, Dan, welcome.
Yeah, no, hello Lee. So, yeah, we're amateur disc golfers. Obviously, I'm also amateur at podcasts. Lee is not, so that is why he will be.
I'll help you run. I'll get your training wheels off is the best way of describing it, because yeah, we'll definitely get the training wheels off. The first couple of episodes I think will be rocky, but then we'll get a groove. I feel like that's exactly how our golf swings are, to be honest, actually.
Yeah, well, that's it. Get me talking about disc golf, and then I know what I'm saying. Like, I'm talking about the fact that I'm an amateur podcast artist. I mean, I don't even know what you call yourselves. Like, I just know I want to talk about disc golf and share my opinions.
Yeah, sharing our opinions. Exactly.
So with the podcast, what we want to do, we want to talk about our journey into disc golf. We have been playing for a few months. However, we're still very, very much amateur. Very amateur.
Yeah, I think that's the best way of putting it. We're amateur. We're pro amateurs. That's the best way of describing it. We're addicted to buying plastic is the best way of describing it as well. But I feel like it's when we were getting into it, well, you guys obviously we're going to tell our tales of the stories a little bit. It just seems that it's something you can honestly constantly improve. Like any other sport you're in,
yeah,
you're always going to learn in certain areas. And I feel like the learning curve for this is it's not steep, but like you figure out one thing and it changes everything. And that's why I think I love disc golf a ton compared to like other sports where it's like if you play actual golf, like if you keep shanking it or not getting off the ground, you're annoyed by it. And then this, it's like you make one tweak to like how you pull back or, you know, how you throw your forehand a little bit with like following through, etc. And it just dramatically goes further or even straighter how you want it. You just go, yep, this is easy. I like this, you know. But yeah, I feel like this podcast is basically a journey of our progression, but also just for people out there who want to get into disc golf, they get to see a little bit behind the curtain because it can be quite daunting. 100%.
Definitely. And as you addressed, Lee, we're going to talk about some of these things in this podcast and in the future. But when you first see Paul Macbeth just like launch one 300 feet and you throw it and you're lucky if you make 100, it's very disheartening. But like you say, a little tweak here and there, and suddenly you throw in 150, 200 feet on a regular, and you know that them goals, them 300 feet dreams are actually achievable. You've just got to figure out the technique.
100%.
So yeah, let's talk about how we got into disc golf.
Yes, let's do this.
So a few year back, and by a few year back, I am talking a few year pre-pandemic. So a long time ago, me and the family went out for a day out, and we found a disc golf course, and the children were still quite little, so we played the amateur holes, like the very short holes, and it was more about helping the kids. Quite a fun day out, because I absolutely chucked it down, and we got absolutely drowned in the midsummer's shower. Years later, so just before October this year, might have been the October break actually, we were looking for something to do. The kids suggested disc golf, so we went out to, I forget what course we went to actually, but we went out to one of the courses where you can pay, rent a couple of discs, and because the kids are now older, I was able to play a bit better and actually like launch some discs. And once you start launching discs and they start traveling and start doing what you want them to, it becomes you feel that adrenaline.
Yeah,
you know, it was
100%.
the first time you threw a couple of discs. You know,
Yep.
and I'd spoke to it with Ben, spoke about, you know, that fact that, you know, I really enjoyed it, and that I was, you know, contemplating taking it up and maybe like going once a month, because, you know, at the time I was looking at it as paying £10 a go and then £5 to rent the disc. So, you know, I was looking at £15 a pop, and, you know, I was thinking, yeah, once a month, you know, go and have a bit of fun. But then I went to a party, and the party was, we say down the road from me, because it is just down the road from me. However, it's a relatively steep hill, a good mile walk, but a relatively steep hill. When the party had finished, I said I was going to walk home, and, you know, no one questioned this. And by the time I got to the top of the hill, I genuinely had to sit down and have a rest. And being a man that's, you know, grew up playing football and running and being very athletic, I hadn't realised how unfit I'd become. You know, I don't work a physical job. I work a job where I sit in a lot of meetings and type a lot of emails, like so many emails. But I didn't realise how unfit I'd become. So again, I got on the phone to Ben, and I said to him, look, you know, I really want to do this disc golf thing. I feel like it'd be a lot of walking. It's going to help build my health back up. It's not overly stressful. I really enjoyed it. Let's have a look into it. So we had a look into how we could do it on a more permanent basis. And I discovered Bedworth, Miners Welfare Park. And Bedworth is a public park with baskets that you can just show up and play if you've got discs. This fascinated me. Obviously I knew nothing about disc golf really, and the fact that there was a public park where all I needed was some discs. I jumped onto Amazon and I found this set of 6 discs. They're not PDGA discs, I do want to put that out there, but there's 6 very rough discs, 2 drivers, 2 mid-range and 2 putters, just nice and simple. Cost me about 20 quid for the 6 discs, so you can imagine the quality. If, you know, you're into disc golf already and you've seen how much the disc costs, you know, if you're buying 6 discs for 20 quid, you're not talking about top quality discs. But me and Ben, we had a great time at Bedworth and decided that, you know, we could do it every week, and we were just going to use the practice disc to start with, but we went home and we started going on the internet and having a look what discs we could buy. And this is where our first mistake of disc golf comes in. And I'm sure it's one a lot of you have made yourself. But without doing any research, without watching any videos, without knowing anything at all about discs, I jumped onto a website, saw one that was a Speed 13, presumed that speed meant distance, had a picture of a monkey on it, and I was in. And I brought the ape at £15 to my expense, and it serves its purpose, but not
I think it's one of your strongest discs. That's the funniest thing about it. It's so funny when we look back and we like throwing discs. Like, every video they say don't start with distance drivers. Yet when I played and you're throwing this and on a consistent basis, I was just kind of like, oh, you just basically skip the tutorial level if we were going to call like a video game, you know. But yeah,
it is a consistent disc, but it's not consistent for what it was built for. I have learned how to throw it forehand and put it exactly where I want to put it. It doesn't fly to 300 feet. If I take a big backhand swing and try to get that power on it, it doesn't work. It's become a very specific disc in my bag, but a specific disc I use a lot because I can pinpoint where it's going to land. Yeah. But yeah, so we then started playing disc golf on a regular basis. We played at Bedworth every Sunday. We then decided that once a month we were still going to go out and pay for a course. At this point, we downloaded UDisc. We downloaded UDisc on the 2nd of October. And that's when I officially decided to call myself an amateur disc golfer, because I officially had an app and a disc.
There we go. You're sorted.
So we started playing every Sunday at Bedworth. Decided to keep to the routine that once a month we'd go and pay for a more premium course. We went to Quarry Park, And something that we will do in future podcasts is we will discuss some of the courses that we go to, and we will still be visiting a new course a month. Not this month, and we'll address that later.
Yeah,
but,
there's a tease.
But yeah, so we went to Quarry Park. Brilliant course. By this point, we'd watched some videos. We had done a bit of research and realised that Speed 13 discs were not for amateurs. So I brought myself another disc, which is one of my personal favourites, the Saint. And yeah, basically from there it became an obsessive hobby. I watch videos almost every day. I do research every day. I'm consistently on the store, despite the fact I know I'm not buying any discs. My next 3 discs in my head have already brought, but I'm still on the store looking to see what the 3 discs after that are going to be. And yeah, it's just become an obsessive hobby. It was not long after Quarry Park. We spoke to Lee, and myself and Lee are good PlayStation buddies, and we were chatting away on the station, and he heard me and Ben talking about the disc golf, and he was like, "That disc golf you're talking about?" And then Lee came out and joined us, and
yeah,
I suppose you want to talk about how you felt when you first came out. And
yeah, so it was quite funny for me. It was like I have a background in care, so during like COVID and other things, the service user I was working at the time needed to find something to do. Funny enough, YouTube provided a way to help him through so much time, for someone of his ability to then just basically be like, you can't go out, you can't do anything. He couldn't really comprehend or understand it. And we started watching disc golf, which was very bizarre because he used to like playing darts and other stuff like that. And we basically started watching it, and I was like, holy cow, this is quite addictive. Very bizarre sport, but I'm in, because I have a golf background and a football background similar to Dan. So I was like, okay, that seems pretty interesting. And then, funny enough, one day, like Dan was saying, like Dan and Ben were talking about it, and I just was like, I know exactly what you're talking about. I saw videos, I watched tournaments of this. I know certain players that I like because they just throw it absolutely ridiculously far and throw caution to the wind when they shouldn't really, and stuff like that. And yeah, so they invited me along. I went, and all I did was forehand throws, I think, for the first couple of times.
To be honest with
and
you.
rollers, which now I do not know how to throw rollers. Like, I'm really annoyed by that. I need to learn how to throw rollers again.
I actually remember the first time you came out of us and you like threw a roller, and then the next like 4 shots were rollers, because you was like, that's going further than when I throw.
Yeah, I'm just going to keep rolling. I'm just going to keep rolling because that seems to work better. And then, just kind of like what Dan said, I started looking online for how to improve, and like literally, just watching tutorials from like Disc Foundation. Shout out to you guys on YouTube. Gladiator Disc Golf, like loads of guys who I've subscribed to now, and I'm like, I like what you do, and I like what that person does, and I kind of Frankensteined it and figured it out. But I think that's the best thing about disc golf, is you can constantly keep on improving, and you hear that in not just like Dan's and my level, and Ben when he's eventually on the podcast our level, but you hear it in the pros as well. Like, they can always improve on things, like even if it's a new disc or just a new thing, like they've lost like a weapon in their arsenal, and they can always tweak something to learn. And like, basically I can tell you, just playing it, having fun with just Dan and Ben, and going to basically Bedworth every week. Like, I look forward to it every week, just going out, getting some exercise. But I can say it's like, obviously Dan came at it from like a physical health perspective. I came from it just like I wanted to support my friend, but also it's helped me with my mental health a little bit recently, which has been phenomenal. And like, I can literally just say, like, if you're curious about it, give it a go. Like, honestly, I was throwing discs like let's just say not that far, and rolling and throwing shots that basically just kept, to quote Limp Bizkit, kept rolling and rolling and rolling. But like, after a couple of weeks and just sticking at it and just going out to my local park with like what the beginner discs I got, and just throwing it and just consistently just getting into a routine, it has just helped so much, like personally, like me personally, and I know it's like helped Dan as well. So I think that's the one thing I love about it. And I think it's like, from what we've seen as well, the community is unreal. Like, I think we went 1 week, midweek down in me, and we met like an old group. It sounds really rude to say that, but they were
lovely though,
they were absolutely amazing. And they literally said they've been coming here for like 20, since they've been playing disc golf for 20 years or something. And like they go to Bedworth, and every Thursday they have like 9 holes.
My favourite part of that group was there were 3 old men and an old lady, and the old men all had disc golf bags, and the old lady was walking around with a large old lady handbag.
Yeah.
And I actually said to Lee, isn't that sweet? She's come out to support her husband. And Lee said, no, I think she's throwing. I said, no, everyone has to come in a proper bag. She's not. And then out of her big lady handbag, she pulled out a disc and threw a disc. Yeah. And it was an amazing moment, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it took back.
But like Lee said, the community has been absolutely brilliant. We've met people of all ages. Even the people that don't play disc golf, the amount of people that walk the dogs in the park, because as I said, Bedworth is a public park, so we get a lot of dog walkers, far too many joggers, and a lot of them are really friendly. They will ask us questions, sometimes questions that I think are quite obvious, like, do you have to get the frisbee in the basket? And it's like, no, just throw it anywhere.
No, we just go. We're just. This is a physical activity. We just want to see how far we can throw it.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I've felt quite welcome into the disc golf community. I don't do social media. I've got accounts, but that's so I can see pictures of my lovely children when my wife is posting every moment of every day. But I don't personally use social media. YouTube is where I'm at. However, we bumped into Andrew Dowse. I don't know how well known he is in the community, but he's known in the Midlands. And coincidentally, I'd watched a video the night before and actually sent it over to Lee and Ben, and me and Lee was out midweek and we bumped into Andrew Dowse and we spoke to him. We asked, we just said coincidentally we'd seen your video. That's how the conversation started, and I had a lovely chat with him and got invited along to a tournament. And it was just lovely. Because we didn't feel under any pressure or nothing was uncomfortable. It was just a chat.
Yeah, and it's just literally the most funniest thing was like, I think that's Andrew. I think we saw him in a video and he was wearing the same coat. And I was like, I think that's Andrew. And we were like double looking. And then as soon as he got closer, we were like, yeah, that is Andrew. That's pretty funny. We need to go say hello.
So shout out to Andrew for being such a nice bloke.
Yeah, 100%.
Which actually leads us quite nicely on to the next point. So, this Sunday, we're entering our first disc golf tournament.
Yes.
Andrew has arranged a tournament at Gillies in... Is it Leamington Spa or Stratford?
It's literally in the it's right. So how I've always said, it's like in between. It's near Warwick and it's just past Leamington Spa. It's near an armory, which sounds very dangerous, but honestly it isn't. It's just a museum. But right, no, yeah. So you go. I'm gonna find the name of it because it always drives me insane as well. So
yeah. So we're there this Sunday to play in our first tournament, which we're looking forward to. We've been training to do that tournament, but we want to give you a bit of a rundown on how we got from the 2nd of October to thinking, and that's the key word here, thinking that we're tournament ready. I think we're in for a rude awakening on Sunday.
I'm so excited to just be like, I think I've been throwing it well, and then you're playing with people who are like, yeah, we need to learn.
That's
I think I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to I'm going to hit every tree. I'm going to throw in every OB. It's going to be, I think it's a learning experience. I think that's the one thing I'm going into it. It's like, we said we wanted to do more tournaments. We want to play more disc golf. So we're going out of our comfort zone. And the only way I honestly think is up from it. So you can obviously learn from your hilarious round or amazing round. So
yeah, and I think that's it. I think learning's the key. We're going to discuss next week how we felt after the tournament. But one thing I have been saying to Ben is that when we get grouped off, I will go and speak to the people in the group and just say to them, like, if you call a foot fault and I ask you why, it's not me contesting the foot fault, it's me asking you, explain it to me, so I don't keep making the same mistake. I think that's the important attitude that we're all going in with, is that learning attitude. We've not played a tournament before. We don't know what, is expected of us. Obviously, we've read some rules. We're not going in there completely blind. But, it's all about learning what a tournament in the Midlands looks like. What does an amateur tournament actually look like?
Yeah. So, for people who don't know, Gillies is located at Wayfield Gross, and it's situated just on the outskirts of Stratford-upon-Avon in the heart of Shakespeare's historic county of Warwickshire. So yes, good old William coming back again as always. So yeah, we're going to go there. We've played there, what, now?
Well, it was your first course, wasn't it? So
yeah, that was actually, it was my first course.
Following Bedworth, obviously. Bedworth's the initiator. Bedworth's quite open. As I said, we plan on talking about Bedworth in a bit more detail. That'll be the first course that we do when we do a chat about a course. Bedworth's quite open. You can launch a disc, it can go wrong, you can still end up on the fairway on certain holes. Gillies is very different. Gillies is a real course.
Yeah, Gillies. I made the joke of, like, if you want to break in your discs, go to Gillies, because, like, I think the first time I went there, I hit every tree, and when I mean every tree, there's a lot of trees. But it's a learning curve, because because obviously it was my first experience of it. You guys had already gone, but...
No, we hadn't gone Gillies, we'd gone Quarry Park.
Oh, you went Quarry Park, that was it,
So when you first experienced Gillies,
it was your first experience as well. Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was really cool, because it was I feel for me, looking at it, like, if we're going to use some interesting words to describe it, I think it's a very technical course. It punishes you if you throw badly, but if you throw well, it rewards you. So it's like literally... you can throw an absolutely bomb drive and then literally throw a really bad, like, second shot, and then you're in a jungle. It basically, I keep making fun every time we go and play Gillies that it reminds me from the scene from the original Mortal Kombat movie when Scorpion is fighting Johnny Cage, because literally it's trees like that, and they're literally that narrow like that. It's literally some holes you're like, I need to throw this straight. And then you throw it straight, and then you start seeing it go left or right, and like, this is not going to be fun. But I think it's a really good, like, course, because we went there obviously recently to practice for this tournament. But I think what I got from it was how to improve on certain shots, and also disc selection and shot selection is very key for a course like Gillies. Like Bedworth, where we normally play, we know it's open and it's very forgiving, if you will. Like, if we look at it from a technical standpoint now, like, when I was at the beginning, I was like, I'm just going to throw any disc, I don't care.
Well, to a degree, I can still do that at Bedworth. Like, I'll still pull a Zeus out of the bag, even though I know that it's just going to go horribly wrong, because even when it goes horribly wrong, it's not that bad.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. 100% on that.
Where, I wouldn't be doing that at Gillies.
Yeah.
Like, not even if I was down there to just play with you guys, I just wouldn't be doing it. Like, it's not going to go well at all, and I'll spend half a day looking for my disc.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that's also, like, I really like Gillies. Like, I think out of all the courses we've gone, it's a toss-up between Quarry Park and Gillies, because they're really the only two we've really gone to.
Yeah.
And we like both courses really well. I think I just like Gillies because it really does test you.
Yes, because you didn't come to the one on the other side of Birmingham.
No.
Is it Lichfield? No, I'm sure it's Lichfield. I'll have to double check that. But,
because we went to one where we literally got pissed on. Pardon my French. Like, it literally, we all went with waterproof stuff, and we became, like, literally wet bin bags. Like, that Kagul I bought was literally, it's not meant for that. Like, honestly.
Yeah, and like, we didn't have the greatest of times there, and I think that's mainly because we got drowned. We got drenched. Yeah. Because I noticed that the BDGA are actually at that course, and I'm like, well, it's got to be better than we experienced then, because all we experienced was cold and wet. Like, cold,
wet weather, mild depression. Like, no. No, it's because it's interesting because, like, I think every course is different. And
Redditch,
like,
sorry, we were talking about
Redditch,
Redditch,
sorry, yeah. So, yeah, and I think what I'm looking forward to, like we've touched on it with the tournament aspect, is what a tournament's going to feel like. Because I feel like with my background in sports, but also in like miniature gaming and stuff like that, I've gone to tournaments where I would say I'm a casual player. But then when I train for a tournament, there's a specific way and you practice your lists, etc. and stuff, and it's a whole different environment. So I'm expecting to go have a great time, but I know for a fact I'm going to get a little bit competitive. I know that for a fact. So
yeah, and you see,
I feel like that's something we, like Ben, you and me, don't really have, do we? Because we're constantly just like, how can we improve on that? And we're constantly just, I feel like it's more of a brotherhood as well, like at the moment, because it's like, what have I done wrong here? And we literally point out what we've done wrong, and then we just alter it, and it seems to work. And being against each other now, it's kind of like, yeah, you're throwing terrible. God, keep throwing terrible. You know. Like maybe competitive juices will come out, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Like, yeah, I'm really intrigued by it because like the course, obviously, that Andrew put up that we practiced on UDisc.
Yeah,
is very different to what we played at like when we first went.
When we
Gillies.
first went, like then I think is it 15 holes if you just play normally?
Yeah, something like that.
Andrew's obviously put up an 18-hole course. That is, like you say, very different. And I mean, we're not even 100% sure we played the 18 holes right because UDisc weren't picking up the GPS properly, and you know. There were some tee pads that were potentially falling down trees, potentially tee pads.
Yeah, hopefully they are marked on the day. I'm assuming they will be, but
yeah, you would hope so, wouldn't you?
Yeah, 100%.
So I think it's important that we talk about how we got to a point where we thought we were tournament ready. We didn't just play for a week and then wake up and go, do you know what, I'm going to smash this. So, you know, as we say, we played for about a month, me and Ben. We went to Quarry Park. We played for another month. We went to Lichfield. Lee joined us. We played for another month. We went to Gillies. And at this stage, we're still very much amateur. I mean, even now, we're very much amateur. But at this stage, we weren't even considering tournaments. We weren't even considering PDGA membership or anything like that. We went to Quarry Park, and for me and Ben, it was a return to Quarry Park. For Lee, it was his first time there, and Quarry Park is my personal favourite course. Mainly for the views. I'm not gonna lie,
it's very pretty.
It's a very pretty course.
Yeah.
And I come away from that, and it'd been about 3 months since I'd first played Quarry Park, and I'd improved my score by 10. And don't get me wrong when I say that, I was still high in the plus figures, but I dropped from like a 35 to a 25, like a plus 35 to plus 25, and because I could see that improvement, competition then started to intrigue me. So, you know, come away, I started to do my research on the PDGA and the BDGA and
all the anagrams in the world, quite honestly,
and everything to do with leagues and tournaments and things, and then me and Lee went out just before Christmas, was it?
Yeah, it was. It was. I think it was leading up to Christmas. I think it was honestly the week before Christmas.
Yeah,
because it didn't feel like Christmas.
Yeah, and this is when we bumped into Andrew, and Andrew mentioned he was doing fling at Gillies, and he'd seen us throw.
Yeah, he had seen us throw,
and he subtly said it's for players of all levels, which
it's nice.
Yeah, it just made me feel like, do you know what? Yeah, let's do this. Let's play in this tournament. So me and Lee pretty much signed up on the spot, and gentleman's agreement, so we'll sign up, and sure as like we did, and we spoke to Ben about it. You know, Ben said he was on board. So it wasn't really a point where we had a round and when we think we could go and compete.
Yeah.
And I do get what you were saying earlier about the competition level, but we didn't actually make that decision where we thought we could compete.
Yeah.
It was more that nice friendly chat with Andrew that made us go, yeah, this sounds like a laugh.
Yeah.
But looking at the future, I think what we came to a decision this year was that none of us were going to enter a serious league or anything like that, but we were going to look at, we're starting with Fling on Sunday, and we're going to look at 3, maybe 4 tournaments throughout the year, and just see how we hold up. And if we hold up all right and we're doing well, we may enter the amateur British Disc Golf League next year and see where that takes us. Might get to a point where we're doing a tournament every other week, but that might be in 2 years' time. But
100%.
But that's the goal. The goal is to keep improving and be more tournament ready. But we're looking at a few friendly tournaments this year.
Yeah, I completely agree with what Dan was saying. I think the thing is with any sport, I feel like, is you can go out and have fun, but then as soon as you put, the C word in front of it and say competitive, things might change. And that's where I feel like I've seen it like when we went to, not Gillies, Quarry Park, where you could tell who the guys who took it seriously and the guys who were there for fun.
Yeah, the guys that showed up with the elastic bands.
Literally practicing ridiculously long putts and then like limbering up, like literally they're ready to go like 10 rounds with Mike Tyson. And then you saw like, okay, yeah, so these guys play competitively. These guys are a different breed.
Them,
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I literally was laughing just because I was just like, okay, cool. So that's where we might want to be at some point. But that's the right moment in time.
Now, warms up her coffee and her walk around the shop.
Yeah, I'm ready to buy a disc. I'm ready to just chill. I'm ready to just take in, like, just have some fun with my mates. And I feel like that's the perfect thing for this podcast is like we're a bunch of mates going out and playing disc golf, but also at the same time we are gonna we call it casual competitive or aka a filthy casual. And I feel like that's what we are going to be this year. We're going to be playing multiple different courses. We're just playing for fun, talking about our progression and loads of other fun stuff. And I think going to tournaments and stuff like that would be great. I think it's going to be fun to learn about the whole difference between, I threw that drive awfully. I'm just going to get another disc out and re-drive or whatever to actually, right, this is what I need to do. Let's dial this in. Like,
I should have been able to put that. I'm gonna take every disc out of my bag and throw it at the
Yeah, I absolutely love that. The one thing which I'm gutted about is because Ben's not here. Ben does this every time at one point. If he misses one putt, he'll then, no joke, it'll look like something from like a Laurel and Hardy like kind of comedy show. He will get one disc out and throw exactly the same, and then again and again and again. He would throw everything at it and then go like, see, I got one in, that's fine. And like literally love Ben for that. Like, but I think it's like that. I feel like I could definitely say leading up to Gillies, we've all improved as well, like in certain areas.
Yeah, definitely.
A ton.
And you see, I think I've improved by, as I say, doing research and watching videos. You need to be a bit careful about what videos you watch, though. At first, like many things when you're first learning about disc golf, it's a bit of a minefield. There's a million different people that want to tell you a million different tactics.
Yeah.
And they're all telling you how to throw 300 feet. And
yeah,
you're not going to throw 300 feet. It's just something that you have to come to accept very early on, that when you're starting, unless you are a natural, you are not throwing 300 feet.
Yeah.
And, it's the flip of the whip, the tip of the whip. Innover Disc Golf have got a great video on the tip of the whip that explain what I'm talking about. But it's that, for me, it was learning what that was. And the towel whip exercise, which you can go to Dynamics Discs, and there's a good video on there talking about the towel flip. And it's pretty much like the old boyish thing when you're in the changing rooms and you flip the towel at each other. And doing that is my main drill. I work long hours, it's winter. I go to work in the dark, I come home in the dark. I haven't got time to go and throw in the field at the minute. So I'm lucky enough to have space in my house to run up and down my lounge and flick a towel around and act like a twat, to be honest. But that actually, when I now need to throw straight, so Gillies is a perfect example of this. There's some holes where you cannot really deviate more than 4 or 5 feet, and when we and later we will talk about turn and glide and things like that. And so, you can't really avoid turning a little bit. So when I do need to throw straight, the number one thing that goes on in my head is I'm saying, flip that towel. Forget the disc is in your hand.
100%.
Do that towel drill. There's one big step, one big flip, and that comes together, and I tend to have more direct straight throws by doing that technique. I don't get my longest drives by doing that technique, but I'm getting straight drives.
Yeah.
What I've currently established is I've now got to use that technique combine it with my twisting technique that I use to get the longer drives and get a straight long drive. Essentially, that's my next goal. But yeah, as far as like improving is concerned, it has been a lot of YouTube. It's also been a lot of trial and error. 1 week I think I've got something, and we talk Bedworth, and 1 week I went down and I got a +6, and I was like, no, this is me now. Like, this is my road to the pros. And then
this is where it begins.
Following 2 weeks I got +22, and it disheartened me so much. I hadn't been above +15 in so long, just hit a +6, and then for the next 2 weeks I was getting +22s, and it was because I thought I'd mastered something, but now I was moving my wrist too far back and throwing hyzers or anhyzers, and this would go to show how amateur we are. For me, one's bend left and the other one's bend right. I've still not quite worked out in my head which one's the hyzer and which one's the anhyzer.
I still don't know what they're talking about half the time, mate. I'm going to be honest. When people say you can turn it this way, turn it that, I'm just like, sure. I literally smile and I nod in the nicest way possible.
I'm sure that means something.
Yeah.
And I suppose for me, I come at the competitive side of things from a different angle, because I'm quite gifted in sport. I have very rarely come across a sport that I've not instantly been okay at. Tennis, basketball, football, cricket, I've just one of them guys that pisses everybody off because I can never play a sport before, pick it up for the first time and then walk away relatively all right at it. So when it comes to the sports that I've really enjoyed and been competitive at, such as my football, my athletics, I think my athletics more than anything, I competed to win. And I knew I had it in me to win. I trained hard, I worked hard at my sport, and I knew I could win. With disc golf...
and here it comes.
Although I think I'm okay. Sunday's going to teach me something one way or the other. It's either going to reaffirm in my head that I am okay. I'm going to come away thinking, actually, I'm better than I thought I was. Or I'm going to come back thinking, right, twice a week I need to practice now.
Yeah.
But I'm not going in there on a competitive level. I don't think... In my own head, I think to myself, if I could beat 4 or 5 people, then I'd be a happy man.
Fair.
And I suppose that's kind of helped me in learning disc golf, because I don't feel any rush to get to the top. Disc golf is going to be my retirement sport.
Yeah.
Obviously, I speak into the microphone like everybody on the other side knows exactly who I am. I'm 40 in a couple of months.
It's true.
And no, I am getting older. My running days are past me. To be honest with you, sometimes when I get down on the floor to do anything, it's a bit of a struggle to get back up. So disc golf is a perfect sport to master. And I know you're a golfer. However, golf is the most boring sport on the planet.
Yeah, sure. Debatable, but that's it here or lie,
In my opinion, bowls is more exciting.
That is 100% true. Yeah.
So I couldn't see myself retiring and playing golf. I couldn't see myself retiring and playing any other sport other than...
Hey.
Yeah. All right, James.
There we go.
That's
How's it going, mate?
Just wandering in. Just saying hello to the podcast. He's not understood. This is Lee.
How's it going?
You know Lee.
Good to meet you, mate.
And we're doing a podcast about disc golf.
Pretty much. Oh, awesome. Well, we should get him on the. We should get him playing more then.
No.
No? Is he good or bad?
No, he's bad, and he's also the laziest boy you'll ever meet.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. Eloise, my daughter, on the other hand, I'm trying to convince her to come and play with us a bit more often, or at least with me a bit more often. She took to it quite naturally. Eloise is she enjoys her sport, taking PE at A level, and understands mechanics and training, and she teaches swimming for a living. And I say for a living, she's 16, but that's how she earns her pocket money. So she understands mechanics and technique and things like that. So hole 1, not very good. Hole 2 got better. Hole 5, I'm handing her my zombie. Was it my zombie or sting? I can't remember if it was the zombie or sting, but I'm handing her one of my better discs because I can trust her, and like, she's worked it out, and she was throwing quite far. She was actually at one point trying to get a score better than Ben, but then she kind of let it slip on the back 9.
Yeah, that's what happens at Bedworth. The back 9 does get you.
Oh yeah, definitely. I suppose, as we say, competition ready.
Yeah. I feel like I don't have any like. I think you're to have realistic goals is ideal. I honestly think you're gonna come middle of the pack. I personally think, because how you play. I think what it comes down to is shot selection and having confidence in that shot selection. So I'm just gonna jokingly keep saying throw that Saint. Just keep throwing that Saint. That's the best disc in your bag.
And you say that, but that's my plan.
But that's the plan. There we go. Sorted. We're all sorted then.
The Saint, the Zombie, the Buzz, the Ape for certain situations. Pilot and Baron put in.
Yeah, pretty much. Honestly, for me, it's just like I think for me, I just want to go out and have fun, and I want it to be an experience. But like, I feel when we went on the practice rounds, to get back-to-back birdies on the same round, on the same hole on 2 different rounds, was very confidence boosting. Like that for me, I was like, I've got this dialed in. Putting, I've got dialed in recently really well. So I'm like, cool. I've just got to play smart and get it to my strength at the moment. And I think that's realistic for me. Is I do not really care about my score. I literally just want to go out there and don't be too bad and just have fun and meet other people, because I'm a bit of a sociable animal.
That's it. We said about taking my daughter with me, and I joke about my son, but I'd love it if he came and played. I noticed that Andrew's kid plays, and it's a friend sport, it's a family sport, it's an old man sport. It's
literally of all ages. It's mad.
Yeah,
but I feel, I think honestly it's for I don't know how it is for Ben, because we can't speak for Ben unfortunately today. But I don't know what Ben's goals are for the tournament. Mine's just have fun. Like, it sounds really like cliche, but it honestly is. Like, first tournament, go out there, have fun, and what's the worst thing that can happen? I lose a couple of discs, I have to buy new ones. Oh, what a shame.
But there's no river there, Lee. So.
No, there isn't. I am the only one to lose a disc out of all of us, so I can hold that banner up, mightily at the moment.
I think that's definitely a story for a future.
Yeah, that is 100%. Like, yeah, that is.
So I think we ought to end with the segment that I've been keen on doing, which is Disc of the Week.
Ooh, okay.
This is a segment where myself, Lee, and Ben when he's here, and any future guests that we have on, because we are trying to encourage brothers and friends and stuff to come and play along with us. Mainly people we think will benefit from it. And we're going to talk about a disc from my bag, and why we brought it in the first place, what we use it for, how we feel about it, good or bad. I'm going to start with the first disc that I ever brought. I mentioned it earlier, is the Innova Ape. I say it's Innova, and I'm just checking in my head. I'm sure it's Innova, but it's the Ape. I know, that's definitely true.
I'm literally on UDisc right now going like, what's in my bag? Because I named every single one, and now I know, so we're good.
Do you know what, Lee? That's a good shout.
There we go.
I'm going to stick with Innova, but...
I'm pretty positive it is, I think it is, because they have huge variety of drivers, don't they?
Yeah, it was. It was the Innova Ape, so I
Yeah.
don't feel bad 'cause I got it right. And as I said, I brought this disc because it was speed 13 in my head. Speed meant power, power meant distance, and I had no idea what turn, glide, fade, speed, or any of it really meant. To be honest with you, I figured out speed and glide, but turn and fade are still. I know what they are, but
Yeah.
I don't know what they are.
100%. We're still trying to figure out the numbers. I've only just recently realised what numbers are, which is quite funny actually. Like that's one of the first things everyone said. Like you need to understand this a little bit, and so I just was like, okay, cool. So now in my bag I have one of every number pretty much. Just
Yeah,
so
that's what I've gone with.
Yeah, just like cover all angles. At some point I'll be throwing those high, like low teen numbers or whatever. But until then, I'm quite happy with the numbers I'm throwing at the moment.
Yeah, so why did I choose the Ape and not another Speed 13 disc that I can't throw? Because it had a monkey on it.
Yeah, there we go. Sorted. I think that's probably what's going to be in my disc, mate, more than anything as well.
I like a monkey. I've got a monkey tattooed to me. I'm a fan of a monkey. So brought the Ape. Realised very, very quickly that throwing it backhand was just not working. But throwing it forehand.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, it's a disc that I can pinpoint. Was getting about 120, 130 feet out of it when I first brought it. Now I'm clearing 200 feet. I threw one the other day that we measured at 70 metres, which is 210, 220. Yeah. Which again, actually I did have this discussion with you because I didn't do the math until I came home, and I was saying to Ben that just that extra 20 feet, like, so I measured very early on into my time, like October time, and knowing that you've been playing for 3-4 months and I've increased by that 20 feet now, has made me feel really, really good about my game and what I'm doing. And because if I can increase by 20 feet every 2-3 months, 2 years time I'm hitting that 300 feet, and that's fine by me. I've got all the time in the world to learn how to do this.
100%, and it's good to see a progression as well. That's like the one thing as well. Yeah,
definitely. What's the Ape like to throw? The Ape is my thinnest disc in the bag. It's hit a few trees now, so it's got some very rough edges. It genuinely feels like it would cut something in half if it actually hit
literally
them.
Our constant joke of Kung Lao is pretty much what we go with all our discs with high speeds. Is like, we're just going to Kung Lao some people. Like, honestly.
But forehand, I think you agree, Lee. It is pinpoint. I've got that throw down.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, I'm not throwing it how you're supposed to. It's not covering the distance that it's supposed to. It's not. I'm not throwing it with any kind of power. It's just a very smooth shot that I've learnt with this disc that I can rely on to get me out of almost any situation. It's not necessarily the best driver I've got anymore because I'm throwing the Zombie and the Saint and a lots further. It's not necessarily the best dog leg disc I've got anymore because the Saint is really good for that. It's not really a great approach disc because I've got the Buzz and the Zombie for them, but it's become this disc where if I'm in a situation and I don't know what to take out of my bag, I'll take the Ape out.
Yeah.
Because I can rely on it.
It's a reliable disc. It's a reliable shot you've got, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's the disc it is now. I think it's just old reliable.
Old reliable.
I am thinking about buying a new one.
Oh.
In a premium plastic, but there's also part of my head saying, you still can't throw 13 speed discs. What are you doing?
Yep. I bought a Destroyer. I've only thrown it a few times. I think, last Sunday I threw it probably the straightest it's ever gone and the furthest it's ever gone, and was like, okay, a month or two, that's coming out. Like, shout out to Sam, my PT, for giving me the secret tech, shall we say, of a gym workout to improve my disc golf. But yeah, like, high speed is dangerously scary because I think looking at the discs as well, like starter set for me, I got Discmania because I was all about artwork. I'm a sucker for artwork, so looking at what I got, all those discs are quite fat and quite grippy, and then I tried throwing a Destroyer and looking at your Ape, and these things are like something the Predator would throw in a bloody movie. Like, these things will go, but you need to generate that speed. So there's no point like running all the way to there. You're the complete polar opposite, Dan, to be honest.
Yeah, but no, I praise the ape. But if I was
yeah.
advising someone that was getting into disc golf now, what disc to buy as their first disc, do not buy a Speed 13
Do not
disc.
buy. I only bought a Destroyer because I knew I wanted one, and also it looked like Optimus Prime. So if you know me and my channel, like Transformers is my jam. So I was like, I know I'm getting a Destroyer. I'm just gonna buy it, and then I threw it a few times.
I think it's key also to mention here that it doesn't matter who you are or how good at sport you are and stuff. Don't go and buy a Speed 13 disc, because until you got a technique, it means nothing.
Yeah.
I genuinely thought, I mentioned earlier that, I couldn't walk up a steep hill. Now, my jogging days and, my cardio days are numbered, and that's the idea of disc golf, to get myself into better shape. But I pride myself on being able to do 20 to 30 push-ups at any given moment, no matter how long a day I've had. I still bench press a lot. I'm weights-wise, I'm brilliant. That's a once-a-week job. I hit the gym and do the weights. I've got quite a lot of upper body strength. And so when I initially started looking at disc golf, I thought, it's all upper body. I've got power. I've got power and explosion. I can do this. And
There's a lot to it.
It's got nothing to do with muscle mass or power, or it's all technique. I think that's why we say, don't get a Speed 13 disc. Like, learn a technique with a Speed 7 to 9 and then increase. Yep. So, disc of the week for you, Lee.
So, I'm just going to go keep it simple. So I bought, obviously, the Discmania starter set, which included like a Sensei, a Magician, a Maestro. I think that's the 3 that come with it. Yeah, and that was like the thing. And then I wanted a driver. So I had a look on, I was like, well, I got Discmania, so I'm going to have a look at all their cool stuff. And then the first thing that popped into my head was, obviously, people were saying, do not buy stupidly expensive discs, or basically high-numbered discs. And then I saw the Rockstar. So I'm going to talk about the Rockstar by Discmania.
What speed is the Rockstar?
The Rockstar is a speed 8, which
not too bad.
It isn't too bad, seeming. If we had a look, the funniest thing about it is, because I no longer have the Magician anymore, I do still know the stats for it. The Magician pretty much caps out at 6 speed. The Rockstar is basically an 8 speed, 5 glide, -2 fade, and then I think the last one's turn, is it? Or is it turn then fade? I'm trying to figure out. So it's basically we're still trying to figure out numbers.
Amateur disc golfers.
Yeah, I know. This is what we go with. So
I'm sure it's turn fade. I'm sure.
Yeah, I think it's turn fade. So it's -2 turn, but 1 fade, or either way it's that. So it's a 8-5 -2 1. The one thing, funny enough, kind of like Dan, is I saw the artwork and immediately said, I need to own that in my life. And then I basically bought it in sky blue because I'm a Coventry City fan. So.
Sorry to interrupt, Lee, but I just checked and I just want to confirm it is turn fade.
It is turn fade. Yes. Okay, so now we're still learning. It's great.
So go on, Cov City fan, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately so. Yeah, but support the teams where you're from, ladies and gentlemen. Always do so. But yeah, so I said that's my driver, and right off the bat, I couldn't throw it for toffee. Like, I literally tried it. Failed. It was a learning experience, and I was like, I think like beginning with it was funny because I could throw the Magician well, I could throw the Maestro well, but because obviously the speed increase and how different it was, because it's a premium plastic as well, which is funny enough different to what you get in a starter set, I was just really weird throwing it. And then eventually, after like a few sessions just going to the park and just tossing it as hard as possible, going like, why aren't you working? And then obviously watching certain YouTube videos and figuring out how to do drives and how to do that, I eventually got more and more comfortable with it, and it is literally now my go-to driver. It's slowly being replaced by the Raptor, because that's a speed 9 disc, so I want to progress in speed. So the Raptor's a 9 speed, but that's a disc for another day. But the Rockstar, I really, really rate the Rockstar. Like, I like it a lot.
You do throw that a lot.
I do, and it hits a lot of trees, and it's broken in really well. But I really do like the Rockstar. Like, I think, like, for a beginner's disc, like we were saying, I think like a 6 speed or an 8 speed between there, like 6, 7, or 8, it would be like, if you're thinking about doing it, that's like the kind of speed you want for a driver. Like, that's what you want to aim for. And then your mid-range is currently like 4 and 5 and stuff like that. And then obviously your putters vary, like literally. Ben has a Berg, which is speed 1, and a Sensei, which is like a speed 3. So it varies from putters, to be honest. Putters are just, that's a whole new ball
I've got
game.
speed 2, I've got Pilot, which is 2, and a Baron, which is 4.
Yeah.
You know, I ought to have U-Disc open so I could double check these facts on the fly.
But yeah, like, for me, I really rate the Rockstar. I really, really like it. The artwork is absolutely sick. I love metal, so, seeing like the artwork on it of a guy literally gripping a microphone and singing, yeah, it was for me. I think it's up there with just learning how to progress with driving. Like, because obviously if you do get the Discmania, like starter set, like the driver or the mid, because it's not really a distance driver, it's actually a high-end midfield range driver. So you're like, okay, it's quite speedy, but it isn't quite there for a distance driver. Yet when I got the Raptor, I can throw that consistently well, and I also make the joke, like, I know it's going to turn horrifically left every single time, because that's how the disc's profile is. But like, I can throw it consistently. I really do rate it, and I'm very comfortable with it. There's other discs I love in my bag more than the Rockstar, and I can definitely say the first couple of months playing, it was hilariously going like, I'm gonna stick with you, even though sometimes I can throw you amazingly, and then some days I can't throw you at all, and it's hit and miss. But I'm stuck with it, and I think, yeah, for me it's like my go-to driver now. Like, I love the Raptor. I love throwing that thing at the moment. On a windy day, it's fantastic. On not so windy day, I am not throwing that thing, and I'm going to go back to the Rockstar. So, yeah, if you're looking for cool artwork, cool disc, Rockstar, 100%.
I will say, like, I remember when you first got the Rockstar, I remember throwing it and thinking, yeah, this is a disc.
Yeah, it is.
And it reminded me a lot of... I wouldn't quite say the Saint. The Saint's got a bit more turn on the end than the Rockstar has.
Yeah.
But it reminded me of the same kind of... And the Saint's a speed 9 with a big glide. And it reminded me a lot of how that flew. You can almost hit that tip of the whip, hit that moment, and it'll just fly straight. And it'll just go.
Yeah, and it does. And I think being glide 5 as well is quite nice.
Yeah.
I think it's 5. It was 4. Yeah, 5. So it will go. Like, if you get a good release, it will go and go and go, and that's what you want from a driver.
I mean, in another episode, we will talk about numbers a bit more.
100%.
I do find it like odd because I would talk about the Saint being a glide 6 and the Rockstar being a glide 5, and actually, they could be very similar because different companies rate their disc differently.
Yeah.
Just to add to the confusion.
Yeah, we've got like speed 9 disc could actually be a speed like 7 disc for another company. It's just every company is different, which is funny. And that's also something I feel like is looking at our bags, including Ben's. We have a little bit of everything, and everything. Like, I feel like if you're going to stick to one brand, that's cool. But for us, it's like, I don't know, I've watched so many videos now looking at YouTube going like, if I could go back and build the perfect bag, there's like a few where they've said, yeah, you need a buzz. You need this, you need that, you need to try that, and they're like mandatory things. And then you see it, and then you watch people, and then you like watch more stuff on content, and you're like, that disc keeps coming up, so I'm curious why. And then but yeah, you always start with a starter pack, and then you can easily progress because you can either go either way. You're like, oh, I really like it, or yeah, this isn't for me, and I've only dropped like, what, 20 to 30 pounds on it, and it's just something I can go and have fun with. But like, yeah, I think the next disc I bought after the Rockstar was the Buzz, because funny enough, Gillies weren't it? Yeah. I threw the Buzz and we literally went like, this is a sick mid-range. Like,
yeah, and I heard you mentioned the Buzz, and I instantly thought to myself,
yeah,
I wonder who's going to bring that up first for Disc of the Week, whether it's going to be me or Lee.
Probably when you talk about it, I'll talk about it, because it's so consistent. I feel like that's the funniest thing about it as well. I think that's the fun thing with disc golf. I feel like you can literally talk about a disc and how it flies and what it feels like. So like we just talked about the Rockstar, but yeah, it shares a ton of similarities to some of the discs in your bag, probably with Ben as well. Like, And it's just honestly down to like personal preference. Honestly, that's what it comes down to as well.
Oh, yeah,
Artwork and how it feels.
The archery quite a bit recently, hasn't it?
Yeah,
that flies a lot. Like
that's a
Rockstar.
laser. That thing. When he gets that straight, it just goes like.
Yeah, Ben ain't the greatest at throwing disc straight, but for some
that archer is the archer is
like streamlined.
Yeah, it's like a cheat code, isn't it? Really. It's interesting though, because it honestly is. Because some people will say to you, just like, you get comfortable. Like they've all said on YouTube and stuff like that, like start with putters and learn the technique and whatever. But I didn't do that.
Yeah,
I think we all didn't do that, did
that? No, none of us really did.
But then
I still don't like a putter only round. Whenever Ben goes, let's do a putter only round, I'm like, no, let's not. Like,
yeah, he has so many putters in his bag, it's mad. I think I only have 3 now.
I've got 2, but I'm looking at a Berg and a banger.
Yeah, but I think that's what we're all looking at, getting bangers, because it just looks like a fun disc, and it's funny to say like, oh, what a banger when we get it in, like that, literally.
Yeah, there's lots of things that are funny to say that
yeah.
we need to get out of the habit of before Sunday.
Before Sunday, yeah, 100%. But no.
But yeah, I think that's a good place to bring this week to a close. I hope you've enjoyed Dickheads. I wonder how long it'd take for someone to make that mistake.
Yeah.
And episode 1, and here we are.
Here we are. There we go. Welcome to the Dickhead Podcast.
But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed Dickheads, and please join us next week where we'll be talking about our experience at Gillies, and we're probably talking about Bedworth a bit more in depth about what the course actually looks like, what it feels like to play on, and we'll have another disc of the week.
Yeah, 100%.
And we are aware of other podcasts that are out there that are inferior to ours. No, I'm joking. Big up to the AM side. I listen to the AM side quite a lot.
Sick, 100%.
However, I just feel that the other podcasts that we have listened to, the other videos that we have watched on UK disc golf have been more about professionals and been more about what is going on in the disc golf world, where, as we said at the start, we want to talk about our journey. We want to talk about what it's like to be amateurs that don't really know what we're doing and just having some fun. Yeah, 100%. So, I think that's a nice place to leave it, mate. Number 1 in the books. I think it went smooth. Congrats on leading your first ever podcast as well, bro. Yeah, smash it. I love it. Absolutely love it.